Hey, this is Leif Gamford. I played the cash register thief in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. You're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldavar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek Podcast.
Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hey, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Ruari, and joining me are co-hosts Lawron.
Hello.
And Al.
Hey.
And also joining us today is a very special guest. We have actor Chris Niosi, who is best known as the voice of Khoury in Pokémon XY and Zetto in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, Noah in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged Series, Kirbopher and Zetto in Tome Magical Expertise, and also the creator of the Mighty Morphin Parody Rangers series and Tome Magical Expertise. So how are you today, Chris?
I'm all right. I'm recovering from a cold this week, so I apologize if I sound a little crappy. But otherwise, I've been doing good. It's been a really good week this past couple of days.
Yeah, you do sound a bit sick, but on the other hand, you could say that it gives you a deeper voice, which is something.
Oh yes, I'm infinitely sexier when I'm sick like this. Because otherwise, I don't. I'm usually, hey guys, I'm 25, but I sound like I'm 14. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. So getting right into my questions, Chris, how did you decide you wanted to become a voice actor?
It was completely drive-by, weirdly enough. As I say that my voice is completely ridiculous right now. I was always really interested in voiceover in middle school, like years and years ago. I must have been like 13, 14 years old, back when this website called TV Tome existed. I don't know if you guys remember that at all, but it was basically Wikipedia before Wikipedia, and it was just about TV shows and movies and things like that. And I kept in touch with my best friend who had moved away for a couple of years, and we would like keep in touch on the message boards in this forum on TV Tome, and they had all these articles about these different voice actors that were on all these shows that I watched at the time. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that the guy who played SpongeBob was also the voice of like these other 10 characters on, these other shows that I watched on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and what have you. And, so that was kind of the beginning of that. And weirdly enough, I got interested in it originally from a casting perspective because I'd always wanted to like make my own cartoons and games and movies and things. And often I would think about like, oh, who would I cast if I were like, doing the voiceover recording for my show or whatever, my hypothetical imaginary show that I wanted to do, in Texas or in New York or in Vancouver or in California or whatever, So I kind of built up this massive, amount of trivia about voiceover actors and things and directors and people for many years. And as far as acting myself, it just kind of came as a necessity, because when I started doing animation and producing a lot of my own cartoons, I needed voices, and so often I would just do a lot of them myself. And I attempted to develop a decent level of standards on what made for good and bad acting in my stuff. So I tried to keep that in mind, and and then over time, I eventually, which I think this might nicely lead into your next question, actually. I had built up and I studied as much as I could on my own, and then I went to this convention many years ago. I believe it was New York Anime Fest back when that existed, and now it's just kind of fused with New York Comic Con by now. And Tom Wayland, who's been the voice director on Pokemon for the last, I think, decade now, believe it or not. And Michael Center Nicholas, who's directed tons and tons of anime. He's also the voice of like Dean Venture on Venture Brothers and lots of other stuff. The two of them were having a contest at this convention where you would go up and you would have to do a monologue, and then you'd have to improv, and then you'd have to dub a scene from an anime, like live in front of an audience. And the winner of this contest would be given a part on a show that they were working on, usually just like a bit part or something. But what worked out nicely is that I won the contest, and the only thing that was happening at the time in New York as far as stuff that they were working on was Pokemon. And with Pokemon, they couldn't just give you a part. You had to audition for it, which I was totally fine with because I wanted to earn it, like anybody else would. So I auditioned. The first character I auditioned for on Pokemon was a guy named Riley. He was in the early part of the Diamond and Pearl arc, and he had like a Lucario, I believe. I auditioned for him, didn't get the part, but Tom went over to me and he said, "Hey, listen, I know that we like technically owe you because of the contest, but I wouldn't really call you in for stuff like this if I didn't think that you were good." Which, gave me some hope. And then some time passed, I got another audition that ended up being Khoury, and I booked the part, and then that was my first role. And then after that, I was just like, you know what? I think I like doing this. And so I've just been very, very fortunate that since then I've had the opportunity to, do some voiceover for a lot of games, a lot of other anime, some cartoons, and it's been great. And, so it was a very long-winded way of answering that question, but hopefully
Yeah, and I ended up answering the second question too. Yeah, but that's all good. I should point out to our listeners that Chris actually does sound like Khoury, like it's his voice, but as he's sick, he sounds a lot deeper than Khoury. No, that would actually be interesting to, see, an adult Khoury, could sound like how you are now. I doubt you'd want to be sick when trying to voice an adult Khoury, but
Yeah, well, it's funny too, because when I was doing that part back when I was in New York, all the stuff that I would only ever get in terms of like auditions and things and jobs that I would book for voiceover was stuff like Khoury. Khoury was about like 12 or so, I think. I'd always be getting like kids and like high pitched kind of characters, things like that. And I never get called in for like adults or whatever. And I've moved to California about a half a year ago. I've been here now. I've been done a couple of video games, and working on this one anime that isn't out yet. Can't talk about any of the stuff yet, but hopefully later this year it'll all be out. But the crazy thing is, like, since I moved here, like now I'm getting all badass, like down here kind of characters, and I'm just like, oh, this is weird and different for me because I never get that stuff. But I'm certainly not complaining because anything I get to do. I mean, it's voiceover is professional playing pretend. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better thing to do.
Definitely, that's great. And as I said, you kind of did answer my second question, how you got the role of Khoury, which is great, a very interesting story. My next question is, what was it like working with the cast and crew of Pokemon?
Well, so I don't know if maybe you guys know this or not. For dubbing anime, we usually, 99% of the time, we don't get to work together as far as the cast goes. There have been very rare, very, very rare occurrences of where they'll actually have the whole cast together in one place, but that almost never happens. So I did not. I've met all the cast of the show, and I've worked with a lot of them on other stuff. But on Pokemon itself, I did not get to work with like Sarah Natachini or Bill Rogers or any of them. Excuse me. But the crew were wonderful. Tom Wayland, who, again, I think he's been the longest running director on the show, overall, because he joined in, I think, when Diamond and Pearl was just starting, and he's been directing it all the way since then. So he's doing X and Y now, of course. But he was great. He was a really great director to work with. He's one of those types of guys that is actually cool with wanting to try out and foster new talent. There's a lot of other actors that have been on the show who have done even a lot more stuff than I have, that have been people that he basically discovered and kind of brought into the fold. And then since then, they've gotten to do a lot of stuff on like Yu-Gi-Oh! And some other things around the city, which has been great. People like Billy Bob Thompson, Allison Rosenthal, a lot of those folks. Tom gave me my first shot. He was great to work. He voices like a ton of the Pokemon like creatures, and he's like been a lot. He was Flint from the Elite Four. He's what's his name? What's the electric gym leader guy's name from X and Y?
Maya.
He plays that character's dad. And
Maya.
He's been like tons and tons of characters in the show. And then Lisa Ortiz, who was also one of the co-producers on the show at that point. I met her. She was fantastic. She really like made me feel very comfortable for like it being my first job. I met Carmen Borgia, who was the voice of Palmer. He was a producer on the show at the time. Tim Warenko, who's the head guy on the the head of the studio, who's really cool as well. So the crew, when I worked with them, they were really, really nice and very accommodating, and whenever they get to work with new people or guests or anything, they're always like very, very cool about it, and they just make it a very comfortable, fun atmosphere. It was a great experience. And then since then, I've gotten to meet a lot of the cast members, usually like conventions or at like outings and parties and things like that, and they're all wonderful, incredible. There's a lot of like Broadway actors on Pokemon now. A lot of people don't really know that, but there's people who are kind of in our age range. They don't watch the show that much anymore because they're not 10 years old anymore. But then a lot of people don't know that like the Pokemon cast now is filled with so many like amazing, like really prestigious actors that I feel like kind of get unnoticed. But the show is I think like better than it's ever been for years. It's anybody that would enjoy the series, I think, would still like it now if they watched it.
Yeah.
So
I definitely agree, because I'm going to actually be honest with you, Chris. I actually, after Diamond and Pearl, which I loved, I'm a big fan of all of the original series, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Diamond and Pearl. But when Black and White came out, I have to admit, I think it was like, 30 episodes. I know some people would say they watch shows, they watch like 5 and they say, no, I'm not watching anymore. It took me like 30 episodes of Black and White and I'm just like, no, not watching this. But
I loved Black and White. I think that was actually overall my favorite season of the show. I really liked a lot of the stuff that they did in it. I got to audition for a few characters. I did not book any of the ones that I read for, but I was actually given a character towards the end of Black and White when they were doing the stuff with when N from the games joined up with the party for like a few episodes. And there was one where there was a little boy character named Roder, I believe his name was, and he had like a Haxorus that was like just destroying the city because he was like possessed by Team Plasma's experiments or something. And so that was fun to get to do that. And then I also did like some very minor like incidental characters on an episode of Pokemon X and Y. I apparently I was told that I was very close to booking. Again, I feel really bad. I can't remember his name, but the electric gym leader that is traveling with
Clement.
Pokemon now. Clement, yes. I was really close to booking him. Apparently, I was told that. But Mikey Lucio, who's playing him, is again Broadway classically trained actor. He's on Avenue Q, and he's amazing, and he's a great guy who like really cares about the show as well. So I cannot be bitter about not booking that one. But just to know that I was even close. It was like, oh, I was so close to getting. I probably would still be in New York doing the show if I booked that part, as a matter of fact. But
and speaking of Broadway actors, Haven, the voice of Serena, female companion of Ash's age is also a Broadway actress. Like you said, two of the new companions, two of the three, in fact, slight majority, are Broadway actors. More theater trained actors than voiceovers.
What happened? Like, listen, because Tom Wayland, like, he'll just go to plays and scout for new talent and look for people in the New York and area that are good. And he'll foster new talent. He'll give them a shot. Even if they've I think Clement is Mikey's first anime role. Now I believe he's playing. I think he might be on Yu-Gi-Oh doing something as well. But that was the first anime role that he ever did. But he was like, he's a good actor. I can work with them and I can teach him how to dub and it works. Allison Rosenthal, who's playing Bonnie. Who is hilarious, and she cracks me up. Episodes I've seen of X and Y, same thing. Like, he found her, I think, at like a comedy club, like doing like skit comedy or something, and he was like, she's really good. And then I think her first big character was she did the black and white version of Nurse Joy, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
And then after that, she was doing like a bunch of other incidentals, play a lot of gym leaders and things like that. And then it seemed pretty clear that she was going to end up getting either Serena or Bonnie, and she's fantastic as Bonnie. She's so funny on that character. So.
Yeah, I know. You just gotta like Bonnie. I know some people don't, but I just like, why? She's so funny. No, she's how I want.
To hate on Ruby and Sapphire, but I feel like she's way better than Max.
Yeah, I've got to agree.
The four characters, it's like I felt like that dynamic didn't work nearly as well. So I was I was interested when I found out that X and Y was going to be 4 traveling partners, or 4 characters in the party, that is. She did really good. And Bonnie is, Bonnie and Clement and Serena, I think, are really good characters. X and Y is really great series.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever get to do anything on the show now that I'm out here, unfortunately, but, it was a really good experience getting to work on. But to go back to the question, it was a really great experience getting to work on the show, and I don't think I could have asked for a better first gig. A show that I grew up with for like over a decade as a kid, and then getting to be on it was like incredible. So
that's great. And getting back to one other thing you did say earlier, and one of the points I was going to make, you said, of course, that fans, even people who have been, maybe out of limbo, I guess you could say, with Pokemon for a while. I think, as you were saying, that they would still really love XY because it is really great series. Like, as I said, I will admit, I do appreciate Black and White a bit more now. I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't mind watching some of its episodes from time to time. But I really feel like, XY is just completely... I was kind of falling out with Pokemon a bit. I was only watching old episodes like Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh, Diamond and Pearl. But XY brought me right back into it. Now I'm a big fan of Pokemon again. Like, that really says a lot, I feel, of just how good XY is, I think it's a really great series.
Too, because I haven't played one of the games in a while, but little Karibo, Martin Billany, bought me a copy of Omega Ruby for Christmas, and I haven't got it open yet and play it, but I want to, because I want to give Ruby and Sapphire another chance. I didn't really like that generation too much when I was a kid, but I feel like I might like it a little better now, so I might give that game a shot as soon as I get the chance to, in between all the other stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, but that's still pretty cool, so... Yeah, my fourth question. What were some of your favorite scenes in the Pokemon episodes? You voiced Corian, if you can remember any of the scenes in particular.
There were a lot that, in general, I would say just getting to do all of the staples. I mean, I got to catch a Pokemon. I got to, have a battle with Ash and Dawn, actually, which alongside Lyra, played by the fantastic Eileen Stevens, who went on to play Iris in the following season. So that was great. Fighting Team Rocket, being the here's the thing that was cool about Khoury in general is the fact that, here's, Pokemon, I feel like not very many characters get to have an arc very often.
Yeah,
now
I agree.
They're a little more brave with getting to do that. But, when you have a show that has to have a new episode every single week and they got to, they have to keep things consistent. It's hard to always have growth with Ash and everybody, because it's a comfort show for a lot of people, and that's fair. But with Khoury, what was great is that the 5 episodes he was in, you got to see him grow. By the end of that journey, the journey that he takes, emotionally, he and Lyra go back to Johto, and they're like, hey, we're gonna go on our journey together, like as partners, and it's really cute. So on a grand scheme, I was really happy that I was one of the few. I feel like one of the few characters in Pokemon in general that had an arc that you actually get to grow with and see throughout the whole story. That was really, really cool that happened. As far as specific scenes go, I'm trying to think of some that I really thought were funny. When you're recording, I feel like the younger the audience of the show is intended for, the worse, like as in like the raunchier and the more inappropriate the jokes behind the scenes are. There was one that, what is it? Let me see. The second episode I did with Khoury when they're trapped in the power plant.
Yes, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, so they're splitting up the cookies, right? And so they're dividing them up, and Lyra's like, oh yeah, we'll take 2 cookies, and you guys, all the boys get 1 cookie. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just dying over here. Sorry.
Yeah, that was pretty funny though.
Thank God for throat coat tea, by the way. Anyway, no, but the line I had in that scene, what was it? She says, "Oh yeah, we'll take 2 cookies, and you guys all get 1 cookie each." And Khoury's like, "Man, that Lyra always comes out on top." And I'm like, "Oh." Is that how it is? And I'm just like, yeah. Khoury seems like a bottom kind of guy. I wouldn't.
So Khoury's officially whipped, isn't he?
I don't think he minds. Well, I mean, when we got a girlfriend as tough as Lyra, I'm like, what do you expect, really? So there was that. We joked around a lot. What else was there? The big battle was great. The big 2-on-2 battle that we had with Ash and Dawn at the end was awesome. Getting to catch Gibble, like that whole sequence was really fun as well. I remember there were also more gross jokes made behind the scenes that I won't go into when we were, I believe something along the effect of Totodile shooting water into the hole that Gibble had.
Oh my god!
Oh god! Yeah. No. Oh wait. No. Okay. All right. I'm gonna. No. Wait. No. You know what? No, I shouldn't tell this story. I'll just sum it up to we make terrible jokes behind the scenes because Tom Whalen back in the day used to direct hentai, believe it or not. Many, yes, you heard right, folks. The voice director of Pokemon used to direct hentai back in the day. Quite a bit of it too. So when you have a guy like that working with you and you're a young actor, it's just, you pretty much have to go in knowing what you're going to expect in terms of what the jokes are.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, when we interviewed Alison, who you mentioned before, I believe it was her, she did mention that there were dirty jokes behind the scenes. She didn't give any examples though, so yeah, those are pretty shocking.
If you ever happen to go to a convention that Tom Whalen is guesting at, lately he's been occasionally bringing outtake reels of Pokemon episodes with him to show what's just hearing the characters swear is so weird. It's just absolutely bizarre to ever see that happen. But it's just if you ever happen to go to a convention where he's guesting, just hope that he has that along with him so you can bear witness to that amazingness.
He better come over here sometime then, because I want to see those outtakes.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get him invited to a convention in England, I mean, go for it.
Yeah, that would be great. And what actually just came to my mind was one of the scenes I really liked from the episodes as well. And you were talking about the group being trapped in the Windworks. There was actually another funny scene that I absolutely loved in that episode. You just have Ash, Brock, and Khoury. They're trying to break out the door because they're trapped in the room. And at the back of the room, Lyra and Dawn are just standing there. And I was like, if we just get trapped here, then we'll all get married here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that fed the shipping fodder so much.
I know. Yeah, and then she just like, Dane, is Ash your boyfriend? And she just like, what? I've never thought about it like that. Oh, that made me laugh so much. Oh, wow. Just, that scene is just so funny. But that whole episode was probably the best out of Khoury's arc. I think the Windworks episode, which I think was the second of the 5
now
episodes.
that I'm thinking about it, I took a line from that episode and put it on my demo. I believe when it's like, what if that security guard, goes off on a long vacation or something? It's one thing. We're going to be stuck in this tiny room for the rest of our lonely, frustrated, and pathetic little lives. Because I somehow managed to do that. I think in like 1 or 2 takes. Because Tom was an amazing engineer and he managed to make it all fit with the scene. But that was fun. And I later put that line on my voice demo. Because I feel like it just summed up Khoury as a person like perfectly well.
Yeah, he's so nervous at the start, and then at the end, as you said with the character arc, like he's changed. He's not so nervous anymore. He's scared of that sort of thing.
By the end of it, he was awesome. Like he saved the day. He stopped Team Rocket, and Crocodile evolved and everything. I was like, oh, this is the best. Yeah,
definitely. Speaking of the quote you mentioned, it's also funny because in the episode itself, when Khoury is saying that they're changing it to show what they think Khoury would look like as an old man, that was funny. No, it was pretty creepy too, but it was funny. Yeah. But moving on to my next question. On top of your voice acting, you're also well known for creating several independent internet animations, such as the Mighty Morphin Parody Rangers series and Tome Train of Magical Expertise. Can you talk about the work involved in setting animations like these up and how you got the idea to create them?
Sure. So rewinding way back to the beginning of this, we were talking about the TV Tome days. So when I was on that forum and I was keeping in touch with my best friend Mike Lucas, who's a fantastic artist, and he's basically the co-creator of Tome, more or less. So we were keeping in touch, and we were meeting all of our first internet friends. And then around the time that he was moving back home, back to New York again, I was learning how to use Flash because I had been going to Newgrounds a lot. Excuse me. And I'd been interested in producing some animation stuff, so I learned how to I learned how to animate, very basic stuff, and then eventually I went to college for it at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. But I just been experimenting around. I did a lot of stuff on Newgrounds for many years, and I basically a lot of the parody stuff that I was known for back in the day, like Parody Rangers and things like that. Were because I was just producing animation, doing a lot of stuff, but parodies were the things that were getting me the most notice, like easily. So I kind of got caught up in doing a lot of these like video game cartoons and things like that, and stuff like Parody Rangers, And they were a stepping stone, definitely, to where I've gotten now. A lot of people wouldn't even know who the hell I am if it were not for those. So I certainly can't look back and be like, oh, I should have done that or whatever. That wouldn't be fair. But that said, I don't know. I've just, like I was saying before, any of the voiceover stuff, I'd always been interested in creating, and I always wanted to make stories and create characters, and I've been drawing all my life and designing stuff and things, and so I just kind of had this really long way back interest in doing this stuff, and so I just took up Flash and I started making things and putting them out there, and it's part of what's great about this age we live in is now we can just make whatever we want and just put it out there, and it exists, and it's great. And then when I finished college, the first big project that I decided to start producing after I finished school was I wanted to do Tome, which was kind of a reimagining of the first big project that I ever did on Newgrounds. It's called TV Tome Adventures, and it was basically a series with these characters all inspired by myself, Mike Lucas, and all of our first internet friends that we made on the TV Tome forums, where we basically made characters out of everybody's screen names. We were like, oh, what would they look like if we could define them as characters or whatever, you know what I mean? And so that was kind of the basics of that. And then that's what I care about more than anything is creating and producing stuff and things like that. And I moved out to California specifically because I want to pursue working in the animation industry. And I managed to survive for half a year or so off of my YouTube stuff, which has been great. But one of my resolutions this year is to really push myself to the next level and see if I can break into doing studio work and doing bigger and better stuff in the animation world is, my bigger overall goal. And thankfully, at the interim, I've been able to do some more voiceover stuff as well, which has been a lot of fun. And did that answer your question? I don't even know if it did.
Yeah, I think you did. I definitely think you did. Yeah, I mean, I hope you do get a lot more luck in the animation department. I mean, being able to create your own shows like you've done, the parody series, I mean, that's pretty impressive, so I definitely think you'll get more jobs in the animation department. Yeah. So, moving on to my final question, Chris, do you have any upcoming acting roles or any other projects you would like to talk about?
Absolutely. The ones that I can talk about so far, there's a game coming out probably end of February, maybe beginning of March, depending, called Black Hole, which I also had the pleasure of directing. Features the likes of Shady Vox, Little Karibo, Omadon, a few other folks you might be familiar with. Rena Chan's in it, a few other folks. Really great cast of actors I was lucky to work with. And it's this game. It was developed in the Czech Republic. And it's like an action platformer with like crazy gravity controls and stuff. It looks really cool. You can look it up. It's like blackhole-game.com. If you want to go and find that. I'm also voicing a character. I auditioned for it, and the clients picked me on it. I'm playing a character named Nay Fake, who's kind of this badass, brooding kind of spaceman guy who doesn't take no crap from anybody. I'm playing that guy, and then there's another game coming out later this year, way later this year, called Y2K. That I recorded the main character, Alex Eggleston, who you just got to play that game I can't even describe. He's the most relatable jerk I've ever seen in any story I've ever witnessed or been a part of or anything. The story is incredible. It's an amazing game. I'm really excited about that one, so keep an eye out for it. It'll be showing at PAX as well. Other stuff, I'm trying to think. A movie that I did in New York called Patema Inverted. It's an anime movie. It's beautiful. Please go look that up. It's got Robbie Damon, Michael Nicholas, Cassandra Morris, a bunch of folks like that all in it. I play this character named Lagos, who is the sort of father figure of the main title character, Patema. Another case where I was like getting older characters instead of the usual Khoury age stuff that I was normally being typecast as. That was a big honor to work on that film. That was awesome. Go look that up. And I have 2 games that I just worked on recently that should be coming out this year. I can't talk about them yet. And I've been just starting to work on an anime, my first anime show out here that also should be coming out in English soon. But I'll keep you all posted on that. So there's a bunch. And then otherwise, I'm continuing to work on Tome. We're working on a special episode 0 as the next one of Tome season 2 right now. So look forward to that. And yeah, so that's a bunch of stuff that I'm doing to start with.
Very nice. We'll definitely be sure to keep an eye out for all of those. So thank you very much, Chris, for answering all of my questions. I'll let my co-host Lawron ask his now.
Sure.
All right, Chris, we'll have a few questions here for you. My first question is, which has been your favorite project to work on and why?
Oh, man. I don't think I can pick just one. I will say Y2K, like, as it's fresh in my mind, that was a really incredible experience getting to work on that. It was a very small team. It was an indie developer. They're the guys that created another indie game called Two Brothers. I don't know if you guys have heard of that or played that before, but Axe Studios, all the head people there that I was working with were really wonderful. I just loved the story. I really got like an experience out of it. One of the games that I worked on here that I can't talk about yet was a major honor because it was a big franchise. I'll just say that. I don't think that's giving anything away, but it was a big franchise that I was really honored to be part of. The director was awesome. And just like my character's journey was really cool, and it was just a great arc to go through. Anytime that I get to work on a project where like I get to have like a real experience that I take something away with, like even on Pokemon, like I was saying before, I grew up with that show, like for years and years. So having the chance to be part of something that I experienced as a kid and followed for over a decade is amazing. It's a tremendous honor that I get to do that. And then even with my own stuff, Tome, I'm blessed to have such an amazing cast and crew that helps me out on that series, and they just do such amazing work constantly. And episode 0 in particular, we're really pushing ourselves to do something really different and cool with like visual wise, and the writing is very, I think, really solid. So it's just anytime like that, anytime that I have something where I'm really I was proud of this. Those are my favorites. I don't have one in particular, but definitely just anything that kind of fits along those lines is just a really great experience for me. So
yeah, that's awesome. And looking at the projects here, the list of the projects that you've done, I can see why you say that. It's a lot of these things they're all fantastic. I couldn't even choose one if I had worked on any of them, so it definitely makes sense. But my next question for you is how would you describe the Pokémon XY series to someone who's only seen the older version of Pokemon, the 90s version?
Pokemon X and Y, I think, in just the Pokemon series in general, because I think that Black and White was like this too. I think the show, like I was just kind of describing, the show is better than it's ever been. They're doing a lot of things that they would never do in season 1. I think a lot of people kind of get hung up on I watched it because I was 10 and that's what I remember, and all these episodes are so much better. And it's well, part of it is, again, you're not 10. You're not 10 years old anymore, waking up on Saturday morning watching the show. So therefore the show isn't really you, for one thing. But, on the same note, that also doesn't mean that, oh, well, it's bad. The show was bad. Or no, not at all. The show is great. I think the show is, there's a reason that it is still the number 1 anime property in the world, in the entire world. I think that the show has the range to okay, in this episode, it's, going to have a little bit more of a lax atmosphere. In this episode, it's going to be, really hyperactive and adventurous and fun, and in this episode, it's going to be really heartfelt and something really dramatic is going to happen or awesome, or there's going to be this big battle with this one particular character or whatever, I feel like it has such a big range, for being a Saturday morning, kids aimed series. For more or less intended to be, commercialize the Pokemon games and product and everything. There's still a lot of heart and passion and cool characters put into it, and I think that it's something that if you care about Pokemon in general, I feel like it's still something very much that is worth getting invested into. I haven't followed a whole lot of X and Y because I haven't had time, but a good amount of episodes that I've seen have been really solid. With Serena, this is the first time that Ash has a character that legitimately there is a love interest there. Because the shippers are always Misty, yeah, but that was never a thing that was intended. That was an American creation when 4Kids was doing that. Serena legit has a thing for Ash, and they're actually doing things about it, and it's kind of amazing in that way. So I think I think X and Y, what I would describe it for people is it's Pokemon. It's the best Saturday morning kids anime and the number 1 rated one in the world for a reason. That's the best way to describe it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. Awesome. Well, and my last question for you is which actor or actress would you love to work with in the future of your career, and why?
Oh man, that's hard. There's so many. There's so many that I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of them on my own stuff. On Tome Season 2, I've gotten the chance to direct and record with people like Kyle Bear, Michelle Knotts, Yuri Lowenthal, Todd Habercorn, John St. John, Mona Marshall. And a lot of these people also have become friends as well, which is also a tremendous honor. I don't even think it's necessarily specific people I'd want to work with. I will say I had a chance. I told this story on one of my recent vlog videos. I had the opportunity to do an ensemble recording session with 5 other actors for the first episode of a show that I'm no working on. They replaced me on the voice of my character, which is fine. That happens like all the time with animation. And then the person who replaced me is also a friend of mine, really good actor. So I'm not upset about it at all. But what was cool is that we did the first episode together. It was myself and a whole bunch of other folks, including several that I knew and had worked with before. And we all got to, act together in the room and do the full episode, and it was incredible. And I love working on anime and video games, but you're by yourself most of the time when you do those. When you're doing an original cartoon, you get to play with everybody. All the actors are usually there together in one room, and again, you're like fully playing pretend. You're like, I am this Viking goofball teenager. You are this talking sword thing or whatever, that whatever the hell you are. And that was just such an amazing experience that I got to do that, And so I would love to just get to do that really with anybody, any voice actors that are good enough to be in a scenario where they, are working on a prelay animated series, and they have the chance to do that sort of thing. I would love to do that. So I know that's not a real answer to your question, but some of my favorites that I would love to even just meet, even if I didn't get to work with them. James Arnold Taylor is incredible. I did have the honor of meeting Justin Cook, who's been a great guy. There's Yuri again, big influence. Andrew Francis, I'd love to work with at some point. There's too many. There's so many people I would love to, but we could be here all day.
Yeah, well, that was definitely one of the most informative answers I've gotten from that question. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for also answering my questions. I'm gonna go ahead and turn you over to our other co-host Al now. He has a few questions for you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. I just got a few questions. As a fellow anime fan, apart from Pokemon, I was just curious, what other anime do you watch, or which are your current top 5 or something, or top 3?
Oh man, I don't know if I can put them in a top list, but there's many I like for many reasons. The biggest one that I'm a nerd for in terms of lore and trivia and stuff is Dragon Ball Z. That's one that I know way too much about that show. Yes, definitely that one. As far as kind of obscure favorites, 2 of my favorite shows that I actually recommended on, again, another one of my videos recently, and I got somebody to watch them, so maybe I'll convince some more people to watch these. Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad. It's a show about these group of kids in Japan that want to be a rock band in America. Amazing story, really wonderful show. And then Speedgrapher, which is I like to describe it as X-Men meets Cowboy Bebop meets hot sweaty sex. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's extremely. Not extremely. It's pretty violent. It can get very dark at times, but it's an amazing journey. I love that show to death. What else? One Piece. My heart always goes out to One Piece. I love that series. That's one that I'd love to do something on someday. I love that series. Been getting into Sailor Moon as of late, which has been interesting.
The new series, right? I think that just started, isn't it?
No, actually, I need to catch up more on watching Crystal, but I've been watching the original, believe it or not. I didn't really grow up with it that much as a kid, and I've been watching it subbed on Hulu and the new dub, which has a bunch of friends of mine in it, which has been amazing, and I love that. So now I can say for sure that I am a Sailor Moon fan for sure. God, what else? I can't. I'm trying to think. There's so many. Yu Hakusho is a classic, of course.
Yeah, that was classic.
There's so many. I really can't think of them all. There's so many shows. I need to watch more of Kill la Kill. I know. Madoka Magic is really great. Been reminded of that lately. I'm excited to watch the Rebellion movie when that finally releases. God, I don't know. There's tons. I love anime, of course.
That's really great to hear. I mean, I'm just writing it down on some of the lists that you just went down, so I'm gonna have to check them out. Some of them. Sweet. That's really cool. My final question is just on the abridged shows that you worked on. How did you go about getting into that, and what's your personal take on the whole sort of trend or movement of the abridged work?
My personal take on the trend is Martin is really talented, and the guys at Team 4 Star are really talented. I don't have too much of an interesting answer for this, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but it's just that I I met a bunch of them through different circumstances. I became friends with a bunch of them. Martin is one of my best friends in the world. Little Karibo, that is. And I had the opportunity to do a bunch of stuff for him. I got to play Noah on the most recent season of the series, which was great. Team 4-Star, I've done like little guest bits. I actually just auditioned for something for Team 4-Star like a couple days ago. So maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get to as I'm jinxing myself. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll get the chance to do something more for them in the future. But no, they're all cool. Honestly, the abridged thing has become not really for me anymore overall. I still like Yu-Gi-Oh! And DBZ abridged when I watch them when new episodes come out and stuff. I don't really pursue the rest of it. But I like those guys in particular, Martin and Team 4-Star. They have a lot of drive to do bigger and better stuff and their own original things, beyond just doing a Bridge series. So I'm really excited to see, what it is that they get the chance to do on a bigger scale down the line. And hopefully I'll get to be involved with that as well, because that would be great.
That'd be awesome. Those guys are
is that a depressing enough answer to that question?
No, that was a fantastic answer. Like, those guys are really talented, and yeah, I can't wait to see what else they're gonna bring for us. And hopefully, I'll keep an ear out for you and see if I can pick you out in any of their future works. So, yeah, that'd be amazing. So thank you. I'll just pass it back over to Ruari.
So we have a question from one Facebook follower for you, Chris, from Kelly Bone. She asked, out of all the characters that you have voiced, which one do you think is the most like you in real life?
Probably Khoury. I think because Khoury is who I would be if I lived in the Pokemon world. A close second, actually, would be Alex Eggleston, and I actually hate to say that, but Alex Eggleston in Y2K, again, it's the RPG game that's going to be coming out later this year. He did a lot of things where I was like, oh God, this guy's a terrible person. Oh God, I've done that. Like, I learned a lot, and it was a very like self-reflective kind of experience when I got to work on that game. But as far as like me being kind of like dumb and dorky and innocent, at times or whatever, and but just passionate about the stuff that I really care about, Khoury is probably the closest to me in terms of that. But Alex, from like a humanistic standpoint, was also really relatable. Some other ones, I mean, Kirbopher and Zetto also in Tome, obviously, they have a lot of me in them in terms of how I write them. But, that's my own story. So, I mean, that's kind of unfair. But as far as other stuff that I've done for other people's things, Corian and Alex, I think, are the top two in terms of that.
Great. Very interesting. So that's all of our questions for you today, Chris. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Hopefully I wasn't too boring or anything.
Definitely not. You've kept us here a while, which is pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll talk to you again at some point.
Sweet. All right, well, thank you guys. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening, if you're in the live stream or if you listen to this later when it was post-recorded or anything, and I will catch you all later.
Yeah, so we'll talk to you soon then. Thanks so much for joining us. Goodbye.
Sure thing. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official-everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the host's YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/separatist-destroyers. Lawron's is www.youtube.com/user/starlegend9595. Check out Al's Twitter, twitter.com/mygurma. Check out Chris Niosi's website, chrisniosi.com, and check out Channel 103 where we broadcast live from,
www.channel138.com. Geeks out, everyone.